Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into some of the most bizarre and unbelievable events in history. You won't believe these actually happened. From mass dancing mania to avian warfare, we're going to uncover the strange and unusual stories that history often tries to forget. These aren't just your typical historical footnotes. These are the moments that make you question everything you thought you knew about the past. So, buckle up, get ready to suspend your disbelief, and let's explore the weird, wild, and downright wacky side of history. In 1518, the city of Strasbourg, now in France, became the epicenter of a bizarre phenomenon that would baffle historians and scientists for centuries to come. It all began with Frau Troffea, who in July of that year began dancing fervently in the streets. Her movements were erratic and uncoordinated, yet she seemed unable to stop. Her seemingly spontaneous and ceaseless dancing continued for days, attracting curious onlookers who were both fascinated and horrified by the spectacle unfolding before them. But what started as an oddity quickly escalated into a mass phenomenon. The sight of Frau Troffea dancing uncontrollably seemed to trigger a chain reaction. Within a week, over 30 people had joined Frau Troffea in her uncontrollable dancing. Men, women, and even children found themselves compelled to dance without rest. By the end of the month, the number had skyrocketed to 400. The streets of Strasbourg were filled with the sound of shuffling feet and the sight of bodies moving in a trance-like state. Physicians were baffled, attributing the strange behavior to hot blood and suggesting that the afflicted simply needed to dance their ailment away. This was a common medical theory at the time, rooted in the belief that physical ailments could be expelled through bodily exertion. Special stages were even erected, and musicians were hired to encourage the dancing, a decision we can now safely say probably wasn't the best. The idea was to help the dancers dance it out, but it only seemed to exacerbate the situation. The dancing continued, day and night, for weeks. The relentless movement took a severe toll on the dancers' bodies and minds. People collapsed from exhaustion, suffering heart attacks, strokes, and even death. The once vibrant streets of Strasbourg became scenes of tragedy and despair. Theories about the cause of the dancing plague range from mass psychogenic illness, where psychological stress manifests in physical symptoms, to more tangible explanations. One such explanation is ergot poisoning, a fungus that can contaminate rye flour and cause hallucinations and convulsions. This theory suggests that the afflicted may have consumed contaminated bread, leading to their bizarre behavior. To this day, the dancing plague of 1518 remains a perplexing and haunting reminder of the strange, often inexplicable turns history can take. It serves as a testament to the mysteries of the human mind and the complexities of societal phenomena. Australia, home to stunning landscapes, diverse wildlife, and in 1932, a war against emus. Yes, you heard that right. After World War I, Australian veterans faced hard times, many turning to farming in Western Australia. But their crops attracted unwanted guests, thousands upon thousands of emus. These large, flightless birds were a nuisance, damaging crops and fences. Frustrated farmers appealed to the government for help, and the government responded with military intervention. The Emu War officially commenced, with soldiers armed with Lewis machine guns deployed to combat the emu menace. The soldiers, however, may have underestimated their feathered foes. Emus are surprisingly resilient and agile birds. They scattered and dodged the gunfire, proving remarkably difficult to hit. The first battle was a resounding defeat for the humans. Despite a second attempt, the emus continued to outmaneuver and outlast their would-be exterminators. The press had a field day, mocking the government's inability to subdue the avian army. Ultimately, the war ended in a humiliating defeat for Australia. The emus had won. The Great Emu War serves as a humorous yet cautionary tale about hubris, the resilience of nature, and the importance of choosing your battles wisely. Imagine a tsunami of beer. No, really. Picture a wave of frothy, amber liquid crashing through the streets, sweeping everything in its path. On October 17, 1814, the streets of London were inundated, not with water, but with over 1 million pints of porter ale. The culprit? A catastrophic failure at one of the city's largest breweries. A massive vat at the Mew & Company Brewery, one of London's largest at the time, was the source of this unexpected deluge. This behemoth of a container, holding the equivalent of nearly 200,000 gallons of beer, suddenly ruptured. The force of the explosion was so immense that it caused a chain reaction. The pressure of the escaping liquid triggered a domino effect, destroying other vats in the brewery. The brewery's walls couldn't withstand the pressure and collapsed. A torrent of porter, 8 feet high in some places, surged through the streets of St. Giles Parish. The floodwaters moved with incredible speed, catching many by surprise. Homes were flooded, businesses destroyed, and chaos reigned. The beer swept through homes, shops, and pubs, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. The air was thick with the smell of hops and the cries of those caught in the sticky deluge. People waded through knee-deep beer, trying to salvage what they could. Tragically, the flood claimed the lives of 8 people, some crushed by debris, others drowning in their own homes. The suddenness of the disaster left little time for escape. The event, while tragic, also highlighted the socio-economic disparities of the time. The wealthy could rebuild, but the poor faced a much harsher reality. The poorest residents, living in cramped and poorly constructed housing, bore the brunt of the disaster. Their homes, already fragile, were no match for the onslaught of beer. The London beer flood is a bizarre footnote in history, a reminder that even the most seemingly innocuous substances can unleash chaos when things go awry. It stands as a testament to the unexpected and often overlooked dangers lurking in everyday life. 1816, a year that began like any other but soon descended into a chilling anomaly. Across the northern hemisphere, the weather took a drastic turn. Summer never seemed to arrive. The culprit? A volcanic eruption, but not just any eruption. The previous year, Mount Tambora in Indonesia had experienced one of the most powerful eruptions in recorded history. The eruption launched millions of tons of ash and sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere, forming a veil that blocked sunlight and disrupted global weather patterns. The result was a volcanic winter, a period of significant global cooling. Average temperatures plummeted, frost blanketed crops in the middle of summer. The agricultural devastation was widespread. Crops failed, leading to food shortages and skyrocketing prices. Famine gripped parts of Europe and North America. The year 1816 became known as the year without a summer. 1800 froze to death, and the poverty year. The eerie sunsets, the relentless cold, and the widespread suffering left an indelible mark on the collective memory of that time. The year without a summer serves as a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of our planet and the far-reaching consequences of even seemingly distant events. Sometimes truth is stranger than fiction, especially when it involves axes, a poplar tree, and a military operation dubbed Operation Paul Bunyan. This operation is one of the most unique and intense episodes in the history of military confrontations. Our story takes us to the Korean Demilitarized Zone, DMZ, in 1976, a place already fraught with tension and the ever-present threat of conflict. 2 American officers were tasked with trimming a poplar tree that obstructed the view of a UN observation post. This seemingly mundane task was anything but ordinary in the volatile environment of the DMZ. North Korean soldiers, however, objected to the trimming. They saw it as a provocative act, an infringement on their territory, and tensions quickly escalated. A heated confrontation ensued, culminating in a brutal attack on the American officers. The situation spiraled out of control in a matter of moments. 2 were killed, their bodies mutilated with axes. The brutality of the attack shocked everyone and highlighted the extreme volatility of the region. The incident, known as the Korean Axe Murder Incident, sent shockwaves through the US and South Korea. It was a stark reminder of the fragile peace that existed in the region. Tensions on the Korean peninsula, already high, soared to a fever pitch. The world watched anxiously, fearing that this incident could spark a larger conflict. The US response? A carefully orchestrated display of overwhelming force, Operation Paul Bunyan. This was not just about cutting down a tree, it was about sending a clear and unmistakable message. The mission: cut down the tree, but do it with enough military might to make a statement. The operation was meticulously planned to ensure that the message was received loud and clear. Over 800 US and South Korean troops were mobilized, backed by tanks, artillery, and fighter jets. The sheer scale of the operation was unprecedented for such a task. A US aircraft carrier group was even deployed off the coast. This show of force was designed to deter any potential interference from North Korea. The North Koreans, taken aback by the sheer scale of the response, wisely chose not to interfere. They realized that any attempt to stop the operation would be futile and potentially disastrous. The tree was felled in just 45 minutes. The operation was a success, and the message was clear. The US and its allies would not tolerate aggression. Operation Paul Bunyan, though a bloodless operation, remains a chilling example of Cold War brinkmanship, a time when a single tree could become a flashpoint for international conflict. It serves as a reminder of the delicate balance of power and the lengths nations will go to protect their interests and assert their dominance. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed learning about these bizarre historical events, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more fascinating content. History is full of surprises, and we're here to unearth the most intriguing, unbelievable, and downright strange stories that you probably won't find in your textbooks. See you next time.